Is Oscar Piastri under pressure going into the Mexican Grand Prix? I put it to you, he is. As you know, the last few races have been absolutely bang average for, well, really, Oscar Piastri. The last time he was on the podium, was it as far back as Zandvoort when he won there? When, sadly, Lando Norris, who has 15 podiums so far, which is not bad, ended up blowing up his engine. Well, his engine blowing up. I don't really think it was his fault. But this is this is from Twitter. Link in the description. I thought this was quite funny. But this is what the McLaren drivers potentially feel. I think they're trying to keep it nice and cool, aren't they? They're kind of like a duck. It's all calm and serene on top of the water, but underneath paddling away like anything. And I'm sure that's what McLaren are feeling at the moment. Are they losing control of this championship? I know. I mean, just when you look at it, for Oscar Piastri, points since Baku 22. Carlos Sainz, yeah, I know. He was very much helped by that podium, but still, points since Baku 22. Yeah, it's not particularly great. And this is how Verstappen's title deficit has come down from nearly, from over 100 points to now just 40. Most of it since, pretty much the summer break. And if I was McLaren, I'd be nervous. That Red Bull does look very fast. And the other thing, Max is on form. Even Helmut Marko came out, and if you remember, he kind of said Max kind of lost his way. He was really into the GT. That's when he got into, obviously, driving a GT car, because Formula 1 he wasn't winning. Wow. And he's now obviously refound this form. I mean, I get it. He's a guy that's used to winning. He can't win all the time, though, sadly. But now he has the car. I mean, it shows you. And this year, if anything, in the year 24 and 25, and, even with the Lewis Hamilton, shows you if you can be the best driver in the world. But if you don't have the car, it is not happening. McLaren have had the car for most of the season. Red Bull now look on par, if not maybe a tiny bit faster. Who knows? But it's going to be really interesting these next 5 rounds. And when we look at the driver standings, Oscar Piastri on 346. Lando Norris only now 14 points behind. If you remember, he was a lot more, wasn't he? On 332, Max on 306. I mean, it is looking extremely close. And now Idrik Hajar is just about in the top 10. And Nico Hulkenberg is now as well on 41. Well done. Well, I mean, absolutely well done to them. But let's talk about, as they have here, this is the, I think, some Australian newspaper. What is it? News.com.au. And I thought they are talking about it today. Insecure Oscar Piastri called out as major flaw exposed. Yeah, I know. If that's not clickbait, I don't know what it is. But let's have a look at it. So as we know, he has very much, Oscar, has been given an absolutely brutal reality check in these last few races. He was the Iceman. Everyone said he was the Iceman, the king of cool, and he absolutely was at the beginning of the year. In particular, fighting with Max Verstappen. He fought with Max Verstappen much better, for example, than Lando Norris did. Maybe even better than Lewis did at times. So, Oscar Piastri has been labelled insecure with the Drivers' Championship slipping through his fingers. I wouldn't say it's slipping yet. Well, it's slipping maybe. Not completely, he still has hold of it. I mean, let's be honest, he's still in the lead of the championships. But his F1 lead has been slashed to just 14 points. That's with Lando Norris, and 40 points with Max Verstappen. So he's now gone, and this is interesting, he has gone 4 races without finishing on the podium. And reigning champion Max Verstappen is now just a simple 40 points behind Piastri, and he's well and truly in the mix. Now, Max can still win all the races, and if Oscar finishes second, I think he can't quite do it. So it is potentially not completely in Max's hand. Some may say it's only a matter of time. Now, Verstappen scored 119 out of a maximum 133 points in the last 5 race weekends. I mean, that's almost perfection, isn't it? Not quite, but that is scary. And Piastri's team at Lando Norris, as we've mentioned, he's only 14 points. And the sad thing is, yes, Piastri's in the lead, but the argument you can make is that Lando is the on-form driver at the moment. Does McLaren face some tough decisions in the closing stages? Maybe, but both of them are more than capable of winning the championship, at least mathematically. And suddenly, Piastri is looking the more fragile of the 2 McLaren drivers. Normally, you'd say it would be Lando Norris, but no. And it's something that's been highlighted by former F1 driver Timo Glock. So, Glock ended his career with 1 podium finish, okay? And he says the entire McLaren outfit is beginning to look a bit shaky. And, Well, yeah. I mean, he's insecure. At least that's the opinion of Timo Glock. In his third year in Formula One, and let's be fair, other people, including Lando, have got much more experience than Piastri. And the fact that Piastri is leading the championship with just 3 years in is absolutely fantastic. Could Max have done it 3 years in? We'll never know. But Max, I do think Max was obviously a lot younger, but Piastri is a lot mature. More mature 3 years in than, for example, Max Verstappen was 3 years in. But I digress. So in his third year, he's in a situation where the pressure is growing. The free driving from the beginning of the year is no longer easy. He was just as critical in his assessment, Glock was, of the McLaren garage. He said the nervousness is there for the whole team. Proof maybe in the fact that they seem to be messing up pit stops a lot. And he's saying that the problem is there are racetracks where Mercedes and Ferrari are suddenly quite strong. For example, you need to look at Singapore for Mercedes. Ferrari were fairly strong, at least they were in between both McLarens at Austin. And that's potentially going to be the problem for Oscar and Lando, and potentially Max. But he's saying Max is too dominant for anyone to put him under pressure. I don't quite agree with that. We know that under pressure, Max is very good, but everyone cracks. If you look, for example, Abu Dhabi 2021, the start, when Max should have got the good start on the softer tyres, he didn't do it, and he was completely beaten, obviously, until the end. That whole weekend, and that would have been so much. That would have been the last time we've seen Max under an amazing amount of pressure. Obviously, he's matured since then, so it'd be interesting to see. Now, it says Monday's race, but it wasn't. It was Sunday's, but this is Australia. It was the fourth consecutive race where Verstappen has out-qualified and outscored both McLaren drivers. Croft summed it up after the race, saying, I keep getting reminded of that scene in Jurassic Park. Two people sat in a Jeep trying to escape the dinosaurs, and there's a T-Rex charging after them. Yeah, I mean, that's not looking good. But Verstappen apparently, but according to one bookmaker, is now equal favourite for the title. So there is hope, though. Jenson Button's come out with a few nice things. 2009 champion, and he's offered some advice. As we know, he's currently in an intense battle, is Oscar, and heading into the Mexican Grand Prix, there are questions, I think, that Oscar Piastri needs to answer. Button discussed the tricky situation on the Sky Sports F1 broadcast. He said, yeah, it's a very tricky situation that he finds himself in. The car isn't performing as he would have hoped, and as it was at the start of the year, it was so strong. They were unbeatable. Now you're slightly on the back foot with the car, and let's be fair, Jenson Button has been there with the brawn, and he said, and personally, you're thinking about the World Championship, so you're thinking about not losing points in certain races, not making mistakes, and that's sometimes when mistakes happen. He says, I will say, I'm the first person who made too many mistakes when I was fighting for my World Championship in the end, and I put myself under too much pressure, and I didn't handle that very well. Very open from Button. But he said, hopefully Oscar has learned from other people's failure, and you forget that he has a championship contender. At one point he was, Mark Webber, looking after him. He's been through difficult times and keeping him positive in this scenario. And up to this point, McLaren has opted to allow both drivers to race. I can't see how they cannot do that, continue that. With the issue, both drivers are going to race, even if you tell them not at this point. I mean, Lando's only 14 points behind. Up here. Piastri explained, I don't when asked by Sky Sports F1 after the race, if the Woking outfit will have to adjust its approach. Piastri explained, I don't know, I don't think so. We are still so incredibly tight. And we've both said we wanted an opportunity to try and fight for the championship because we deserve it. So I think it's far too close to start picking one over the other. I think it is. I mean, the issue you've got here is Lando Norris is the guy that's 14 points behind, but over the last 4 races, he is the in-form or the on-form driver at the McLaren camp, and Verstappen is just the on-form driver full stop.